Everything's fine, everything's working right. Yeah, please welcome. So again, greetings to you. Today I will tell you about our research on the topic of trees in digital design. So I will introduce myself as well. We were preparing it together with Sergey Gurov and Mikhail Rubin. And I would like to tell you that all participants here are equal and they're equally valued. Thank you very much for this research. So we've been working with Sergey Gurov for several years together in web design spheres. This is web design of websites and applications sometimes. So the matter is that for us, design is not just a matter of a beautiful and nice picture. It's not only a nice image as many people think. So this is pretty deep research of space and movement, interaction. And basically, because of that, we are here right now. And I found Mikhail Rubin, who helped us to clarify this issue, and we try to apply trees in design sphere. So what we have done. So at first we tried to use main trees tools in digital design, and we adapted trees for contradiction resolutions, how it was prepared for the business sphere. So here we are talking the access to the systemic transfer through the prism of structure and action. So it was proper for digital products. Also, we adapted inventive tools or resolutions of contradictions, and also we found examples of those designs. Also, we modified table of application of beef field of resolutions of contradictions on the basis of the table of Schuler. So I will tell you the example of those tools, how we resolved these tools in two tasks, in two problems. So one of them is with more or less particular technical assignment, and the second one is more or less generalized. So one client came down to me. This is about a cosmetic store, and he has designed for the cosmetic tool of the premium class, cosmetics of premium tool. So what he requested. So mainly all online stores, they look pretty old-fashioned, old school. However, they sell pretty top-notch products. And the second thing, so 80% of all purchases in online stores is made from mobile gadgets. So, and in this cosmetic range, it was not pretty expanded one. So for the example, I can show you some dreamt up tools or products, but we had about 10 products altogether. So I decided to analyze what happens with those expensive brands. And in this case, there is an issue which is pretty obvious.
Now, first of all,
So
when
when we start to develop
the design, we start doing that using our laptop. Now, when the idea is ready, when we understand that we have drawn everything, that we have addressed all the problems, we adapt this design for a tablet or for a smartphone. So this is our workflow. But this approach has a drawback, because we really need to think on how our design will look like both on a desktop or on a smartphone. So we need to think about three devices: a laptop, a smartphone, and the tablet, which requires more time for development. For design, recently we have seen this mobile first approach, which has been popular when we start the design from a smartphone. This is very understandable because most of the redirects, most of the browsing of websites is done from a smartphone. But we always also need a desktop version and we need to develop it at some point. Of course, and it turns out that it is easier to adapt a wide format to a smaller format than vice versa. There are a number of bottlenecks here, and I'd like to explain more about these bottlenecks. This picture here is very much important. So we have this cosmetics products, and it's very important to show the beauty of faces. Desktop has a horizontal format, and the picture here should be looking like a horizontal oriented picture, while a mobile phone has a vertical orientation. And the challenge here is when you adapt this layout, which is horizontal, to a vertical one, we need to either make the picture smaller. You see that here. You see this lower picture, lower image, which is scaled, and then it occupies the space in the screen, and it looks really small on a smartphone, which of course is not a good way to present a product. Or otherwise, we can cut the picture, which is also possible, and very often this undermines the composition of an image, and it usually does not work well for that. In a video format, this might look well because when we shoot a video, we use the composition which is centered, and again, there is always this movement or zooming in, zooming out. Video format works better, but when it comes to pictures or images that are static, that are still, this is not a good solution. There is another way which might be better, and this is a good example here. Now we see that they started from the mobile design first, and they designed a picture based on that. So this composition there in the product was really in the center, and then those margins were cut, and at the same time on the desktop we saw these blank spaces, which does not work. We just need it, to provide the space for the image, which is not a good solution either. Going forward, when I received this task, I already had the solution popping up in my head. So this was the cosmetic product store offering products in small cups, which of course are not well presenting the product itself. So this cups or flask does not give an understanding of a product itself. So I thought that maybe we could show the product through its history, like what we have in Instagram or stories we have in Instagram. So we could use an example like that, for example, showing some sensitive pictures with a texture, with ingredients. We wanted to do that because they might look even more attractive. On the other hand, I decided to design this concept of mobile first to be applied. So I first created a smartphone design. That was what I did first, but then after that, as I moved on, I added the picture for the product. I added it there, and then the card of the product itself was secondary. So we really want to make impression first. This is the main page, the home page of an online store. This resembles a shop window. It should look beautifully and it should attract customers or buyers. The next question that we might have is that how we can adapt this design for a desktop application. Because I took this smartphone design, I put it to a desktop, and I saw that I have these blank spaces to the right and to the left. Out of that, the question I had on how to use these blank spaces, how make them work. Initially, I decided to add this design. I started designing for a mobile device, for a mobile smartphone, and I use vertical format for all my images. So the most simple solution was to, stretch the image to the horizontal format. If I do that, my picture will look bigger So I want that to be of a high quality to work for such a big screen, which is almost impossible for a website like that. The second thing is also important. If I have it and if it loses its composition, it will be just cut down if I just zoom the picture in. To address the issue, to address the problem, I use trees and it helped me a lot. I just want to show you how it worked for me very good. I used Campino trees to address the problem that I had. My first stage was to design the contradiction, to understand the contradiction. So for that, I needed to understand what kind of problem I have, what kind of issue I had. I decided I need to design a solution for a mobile device, and for that I needed a vertical layout. So I wanted to be narrow, but at the same time, I wanted to also use the space of the desktop. I wanted that to work wider. How to do that? So the contradiction was the following. The contradiction was selected. It was like when you create a narrow column, then again requiring designing a mobile smartphone design is met, while the requirement to use the desktop space is not met. So then I used the ICR method. So the X element uses and meets the requirement to use the space of the desktops. And again, all these are the elements we had, or there's X resource we have out of the system, which replaced the layout element, which was very narrow and which needed to meet these requirements to use the space of a desktop. Then after that, we moved on with further methods, principles. We adapted these methods, and there is this systemic transfer through structures based on actions. We used Campino trees to address all that, and it is available in this software suite. I selected the space principle, so again, this creating layout with some narrow approaches and wide designs, and also I used the systemic thinking to address the task problem. The table for methods Altucher matrix, so I decided to compare different approaches based on designer problems. We refought these approaches, and my next choice was to select these two pairs of characteristics. This helped me develop uh, a number of principles. We implemented these principles. They are available in Campino trees. These are the principles that helped me to address the problem I had. So again, here I have this separating uh, the part from an object, and then these different parts of an object should work for different functions. Each part of an object should be in its conditions that work best for its work. So it became clear for me that there is this solution which is highly probable and very obvious, and that worked for me very well. I just want to once again repeat that that was a very critical solution that was quite simple. Now, what are the methods we have? So we need to split the composition, which I had for the smartphone. So I showed the product from different sides. So you see that from the side of a cup of a product, and also from the part of these beautiful images, videos, pictures that worked very well for the customer, telling customers about the product. In the mobile version, we don't have the space to do that, so we really need to combine different parts, different elements and functions, as well as details together, while desktop provides us with the possibilities to split these functions. The two ways we have to display a column a product, two products might work well on a desktop. But here I just split them in several columns. In the center, we have the product line showing the products in caps, and those stories for each product can be seen on both sides. So these are blank spaces that we remember on the desktop. Moreover, we added this other feature here. You see that when I put a cursor, I put the clicker to the left or to the right parts, I see that all the images are becoming smaller, and this belt of products is looks more remote, and this enables you to switch across products easier. This is how we designed the desktop version. We also had to finalize the design of the mobile or the smartphone version. The desktop and the mobile versions should work together, in the same style, in the same concept. Very often we see that a mobile version is simpler than the desktop one, but at the same time they should be similar. They should have the logics for that. So before that, I had this possibility for the stories for the products. So in comparison with that, so this regime of understanding. So again, when we have the picture for the product, which works as the main one, and then there is this product itself, and we provided the possibility to flip, to switch between the modes, to switch between these ones. Looking at the image of a product, and if we look at the products here, that might work really well, and this really works quite efficiently looking at the stories of the products. This is the first thing. The second thing is that we remember there was this feature of making objects look somewhere behind. That is what we implemented, integrated, and again we see it right here again. If you click the picture, you see that the product line is then seen somewhere at the back, and it's possible to look at all the items, all the products, and choose the right one we want. This is what we have here. So this is what we conducted, and this is a way of how we addressed the problem. I'd like now to speak of another problem which I set for myself. And this problem I addressed based on AI and backed by AI in
Через
Campino.
минут
Tatiana, you have
несколько вопросов, ну,
10
можете продолжать, но
minutes, and we also need some time for Q&As. Yes,
да.
I will try to be on time. The problem was related to the list. Very often we have many pages with lists. So these lists very often have a number of items. So we scroll the page to find the item we need. So this is a list of projects which have a name of a project name, an image for a product. When we click a project, there is this page for the project which is opened, and it's possible to look at all those pictures that are inside. For me, it was really important to have a look at it. So I formulated the problem right here to be able to see what's there inside. So to do that, you'll need to open a different page. So how could we implement the following to have this interactive opening of the project that could work right well to show this additional information without opening another page, a new page or tab in mobile devices? This is the problem which is easily solved because there we have this vertical scrolling and horizontal scrolling. So it's possible to use both vertical and horizontal designs. So we could try and look at the pictures that we have inside it for desktops and for users using a mouse. The scrolling is only vertical scrolling which is available. So I had this problem situation to provide this interactive opening. So I wanted scrolling to work both vertically and horizontally at the same time. At the stage of problem setting, when I formulated the problem, I saw that in Campino trees, we have a module backed by AI, which helps us clarify the task and suggest any solutions. Now we need to formulate a problem and try to work further on that. And this is how AI can support us on that by means of creating those ways for us to develop, to be able to focus on a problem and understand its development. So there is this contradiction which exists, and it is possible to work on further inconsistencies or problems. Again, one of the solutions was that it was possible to open these ones and use the drag function when you use a click to stretch windows on a personal computer, making them wider or narrower. So that could work also for the lines to be able to make them wider and see more information. But I looked beyond that and I really moved on. I started drafting a contradiction and seeing on all these formulations, being able to feel that these principles are there. I selected all principles because it was very interesting for me to address the ways how we can address these tasks going forward. In this stage, at this stage, we also have a number of other modules backed by AI, which again provides a number of options to address the problem, offering a number of ideas and listing a number of ideas. These ideas are looked quite well, quite sensible. For example, these ones. For example, this local quality acceptance with different parts of the scrolls. He understands that there are different scroll functions, understanding that there is a top, there is a speed for scrolling, and depending on that, different functions can be performed. And there was a good hint that you need to work with horizontal movement, which should work for the horizontal opening of a project. That was a very good idea. I liked. And I'd like to show you the solution I found. I used this self-service as well as the adding of additional objects to that or instances. This is the layout we have, which has a number of horizontal rows. When you scroll vertically, these images of a project, when they become part of a row, they are, stretching. You see more content of a particular project when you move at that at a higher line. So when you scroll vertically, you see those vertical openings of a project. Tiana, you have 5 minutes. The second solution was falling. So I created those areas or zones. That was a recommendation by AI. In the central part, I have the images. If I scroll to the sides, I see these horizontal movement across the list. But when I put the mouse pointer to the central part, this horizontal scrolling kicks in. So when I scroll in this area, I see that there is this movement to open up the project. Solution 3. This vice versa principle, when I show the list 90 degrees, and I now have this possibility to split the text part from the images. This is what I have. In the middle, when I scroll that, I move across the list. If I go up, I see this hint, which I see the text is getting smaller, and I see that there is something behind the screen. I can scroll and see this information, and also further to work on those screens being able to understand that there is something behind and scroll on that.
And here I use systemic transfer. So I separated internal picture into separate area. So here I put all internal pictures in one big line. Uh, so here I can scroll down all the images one by one in order, and here they can be a bit bigger in size, so they could be of better informative character. And in the left part, I can have a quick switch transfer between the objects. So automatically, here you can scroll down line, um, the stream as I need. So what can I get out of it? So it's variativity. So in design, we have such a thing. So when you use all the principles, you can get completely different options of solutions of problems. And all those things are accessible and implementable because different problems could be resolved in different lines, in different directions and manners. So in different objects, we can use different solutions. So it's very good. And the second option about which we say that when we find some standard problems which can resolve at the website, so then when you go them through trees tools and trees solutions and different tricks and techniques, you can find a ready-made solution and you can create some kind of a database like library of solutions. And then when I work with my clientele, I can pick up the right solution for my web design. And the second thing, it's like a training machine for your mind. So the very formulation of the problem requires a lot of awareness and consciousness in this. So that's why consecutive systemic mindset, which is offered by trees, helps you to look at the problem from different sides. And on the example of photo gallery, we know that it's a pretty well spread problem. So all website they do it in the same manner, but because of trees and those techniques, we found those solutions which were not found before. So sometimes seemingly existing solution, which is known to everyone, was not the single one. So by saying that, I'm done. So again, I'm repeating myself that all those developments are accessible in online portal. So if you have uh, some interest, you can see QR code here and you can write down to me. So please. So we have only one question for 1 minute for questions. So if we have uh, any questions, so before we will go to the break time and to the second part of our reports. So thank you very much for your part. So thank you for your example. It was practical and research resolution. So as per first part, so can you use automation and AI on another level? So we know that in LLM, it is used by developers and programmers. So then they could get some already made data for interfaces. So if we compare data out of your experience, when you saw uh, what is proper for developers, or you can get those solutions by yourself while working at, with the computer. So, you know, development and design are different things. So design is projecting of solutions, and developers is when you implement design in some code. I can tell you what we have seen in operation with in artificial intelligence that we got because of trees, including we have some kind of descriptive language for design. And right now, there are some developments which are going on in the sphere of design when AI can draw websites by himself, by itself. So now the simplest websites, which are still made by designers, and you have to pay salary to those designers. So those websites are already made by AI. Pretty simple. However, it is a matter of time when they become more smart, more nice. So, to our mind, and we've discussed it with Sergey and Mikhail, so we have pretty good perspective in that regard as per using this language for for education of AI, for drawing, for getting pictures of design. When you describe the problem and the option of possible solutions, just in general, AI can give you some graphic design, a
Ну
graphic
что ж, давайте
result.
действительно сейчас уйдем на
So
перерыв.
thank you
Спасибо
very
большое за
much.
ваше
So
участие.
now
Есть
we'll have a
вопросы в чате.
break.
Я,
Thank
к
you
сожалению, не смог
very
их
much for your
озвучить
participation.
моментально,
We have
но
some questions in the chat box, but I will read
ответьте на них,
them
пожалуйста.
and please respond to them if
Михаил,
you
я
would. So,
передаю
Michael, I give
микрофон
you the